So today is what we call Holy Tuesday. There's a lot going on this day as we look at one of the longest passages that we'll look at for the week. But there are a lot of significant moments here I'd love to unpack with you in these last days and hours of Jesus' life on earth. And so on Tuesday, we see that he stops by a fig tree for a quick lesson. He challenges the religious leaders and then wraps up teaching in the temple. Yesterday, he called their temple a den of thieves. So he's making a lot of friends here. But really, Jesus has this target on his back. They're just looking for a way to trap him so they might arrest him pretty quickly. But after spending the night in Bethany, the scriptures tell us that Jesus was traveling back to Jerusalem with the disciples, and he stops by the fig tree because he was hungry. And in his hunger, he sees the tree. It has no fruit on it. So he curses the tree for its lack of fruit, and immediately the tree withers. And the disciples ask, how did this happen so quickly? And in chapter 21, verse 21 and 22 of Matthew, Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, it will happen. And so whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." So what's the significance here? Jesus has all authority, and I love every reminder that brings us back to that. First, an issue of faith for the disciples, because he says, if you have faith, you'll be able to do this and more. And that's really powerful for the disciples in the days and years to come. But this is not the first time that Israel has been warned of a coming judgment. And even in Jeremiah 8, Israel was compared to the same fruitless fig tree. So listen, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, they were holding very strongly to the wrong thing. And they were producing no fruit. So as Jesus was making his way into the temple, he's met by the religious elite who began to trap him in blasphemy and try to arrest him quickly just to be done with it. But before they are done, Jesus steps it up again, and he pushes in on what we know to be called the greatest commandment, to what truly matters, what he really wanted them to know. And then he delivers even the 7 woes for all the religious leaders too before he wraps up. The culture and their beliefs were robbing them of the kingdom. And here's what was big for Jesus. They were also leading others to be robbed of the very same kingdom. And their personal comfort was keeping them from true peace and knowing the Father. So for you and I today, what does this mean? As we journey through this Holy Week and continue to discover Jesus, here's what we know. Jesus is making a clear distinction between religion and knowing the Father. Keeping only to knowledge and information about God robs us of a relationship with God. They are not the same thing. And the actions of Jesus this week are all for us to know the Father. His triumph over death then is our victory over sin today. So this should not lead us to legalism and faith and trust in our own good behaviors and our good works. It should lead us to a relationship with Jesus based only on how good he is. And so today for us, we think about the greatest commandment, to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind. It's the greatest commandment, but a second one is equally as great, which is to love our neighbor as ourselves. So let's pay attention today. Let's be Jesus, and let's love the people around us well and produce the right kind of fruit.